Hello and welcome to Budget 2005 on CNBC TV 18. I'm Shireen Bhan and we're coming to you live from the Moria Sheraton, Nandya Gardens. Thank you all for being with us here today. We've got an audience and an eminent set of speakers. In a little over 12 hours, the Finance Minister is finally going to end the suspense. He's going to get up in Parliament and present his budget speech, and only then will we be able to know whether the pulls and pressures of coalition politics have actually fallen prey to economics and whether good economics is actually going to take a back seat. Here we'd also like to take the opportunity to welcome the viewers of our Hindi channel Awaaz. हमारे इन सभी दर्शकों का भी इस कार्यक्रम में स्वागत है और अगले आधे घंटे में हम आपको बताएंगे कि बजट 2005 एक ड्रीम बजट रहेगा या तो वो कोलिशन पॉलिटिक्स का शिकार पड़ेगा. Let me introduce our eminent set of panelists here. Let me start with the politicians from the Congress Party. Jyotiraditya Scindia, he's also part of the Congress's economic cell. Also from the Biju Janata Dal, Panda, their young MP who is part of the NDA coalition the last time around. Columnist Prem Shankar Jha, he joins us. He's been, of course, writing about what the pulls and pressures of the left could do to the budget. We've got a young corporate here with us, Karan Gupta. He's Executive Director of Candico International, a confectionery manufacturer. And, of course, Tarun Das, the Chief Mentor of Confederation of the Indian Industries. He's seen many, many budgets. He's analyzed them. He's read the fine print. So he's going to be joining us tonight to actually give us a sense in terms of what we can actually expect from the Finance Minister, from the DEEM team. Also with us, Mr. P.K. Chaudhary, Managing Director of ICRA. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Scindia, let me start by aiming for 10% growth. Jai Panda, let me come to you now. You were part of the NDA coalition. They were also talking about a 10% growth. The kind of roadmap that the UPA government has put in place, are you as optimistic? Do you think that 10% growth target is around the corner for us?
I think they're setting unnecessarily low targets, in my opinion.
Oh no!
Because
everyone's aiming high today. This is a great panel that we have. Go ahead.
From all accounts, from everything that we've heard in the media, there is a lot of hype about a big bang of second-generation reforms. What would that mean? That would entail disinvestment targets of much higher than before, perhaps 25,000 crores. It would entail taking on the subsidies that are not really reaching the poor. In fact, the government's own studies show that 2/3 of all subsidies go under a category that they themselves define as non-merit. Only 1/3 of the subsidies go into merit categories such as primary education and primary health. So there are indications that the government wants to take this on. But as Mr. Tarun Das said, and as you have said, the fact remains that this is a coalition government, and whether they will be allowed to take on these big objectives.
Okay, the sector now that has been in the news, you've got Anshuman Magazine from CB Richard Ellis over here. Mr. Magazine, I can see a smile on your face, and that's because before the budget itself, we've actually seen an opening up of the real estate sector, and there's talks of the retail sector opening up as well. How big of a boost is this likely to be?
I think it's really path-breaking move. People don't realize the significance of this. I mean, there's a lot of news coverage on this, there's a lot of hype, but it's really a big step because it's going to boost investment in infrastructure. I think everybody's talking about housing, but it'll be more than housing, it'll be general infrastructure, and there's been discussions going on that our country lacks infrastructure. Finally, there's a step being taken where
but you actually see the dollars coming in because of this cap being actually moved up?
Absolutely. Especially now, when the government opened a couple of years back, and with the cap of 100 acres township investment, that time the interest was not in India, and that's why we didn't see much of investment. But we see a lot of interest now. And it's not going to happen overnight, but gradually we expect a lot of investment to come in.
Okay, Jai Panda, let me come back to you now. आप फिलहाल opposition में बैठे हैं. आपने इंडिया शाइनी की बात की थी जब आप NDA coalition के पार्टनर थे. अब आपको वित्त मंत्री से क्या उम्मीदें हैं? कहाँ पे आपको hurdles नजर आती है? कहाँ पे आपको stumbling blocks नजर आ रहे हैं फिलहाल?
मैंने जैसे पहले कहा, hurdles मुझे ये नजर आ रहा है कि इनके जो पार्टनर्स हैं, लेफ्ट पार्टनर्स, वो जो उनके अपने स्टेट में जैसे बजट लगा रहे हैं, यहाँ उनको अलाउ नहीं कर रहे हैं वैसे बजट लगाने के लिए.
लेकिन अगर आप एयरपोर्ट मॉडर्नाइजेशन की बात कीजिए, आप रिटेल सेक्टर में या कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर में FDI की बात कीजिए, तो लेफ्ट के ऑब्जेक्शंस के बावजूद ये स्टेप्स ली गई हैं.
Well, that's a good thing, and I think they should take more steps against the advice of the left.
तो आपकी अगर विश लिस्ट होगी तो आप क्या बताएंगे वित्त मंत्री को?
मैं यही कहूँगा कि you see this allegedly pro-poor stance of the government is a myth. You see, pro-left is certainly not pro-poor. And the point I would like to, let me give you a specific example.
Sure.
Mr. Jha talked about a dream budget would have food stamps, which would redirect the subsidy expenditure into the hands of the real poor who need it. Let me give you another example. The kerosene subsidy that is given, somebody ought to come out and bell this cat for what it is. Everybody knows that 50%
Who's
of that...
going to do it? Your government couldn't do it. Let
me ask Mr. Scindia to come out and admit it.
All right,
50% of the money spent on kerosene subsidy is diverted and used to adulterate diesel. Everybody knows that, and that is definitely not pro-poor, it's anti-poor.
I think कर पाएगी या नहीं कर पाएगी? मैं समझता हूँ कि अगर हम वास्तविक स्थिति देखें तो जो इस सरकार की एक आम आदमी के हित में जो एक बजट निकालने का जो एक संकल्प था, उसी के आधार पर ये सरकार आज भी चल रही है। अगर हम पिछले बजट को देखें तो 37% ग्रामीण विकास के लिए इस गवर्नमेंट ने बजट बढ़ाया था। कृषि के क्षेत्र में करीब 25% बढ़ोतरी हुई थी। और जहां तक अभी जय पांडा जी ने कहा, ये तो सर्वविदित है कि जो सब्सिडियों की हम चर्चा करते हैं, जिस व्यक्ति के पास इसका सही बेनिफिट मिलना चाहिए, आज वास्तविक तौर से वो बेनिफिट नहीं मिल रहा।
सर, उसके बारे में आप कल स्पीक सर, we're running out of time. Mr. Das, let me end with you now. What's the big expectation? What would make this truly a path-breaking budget?
Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure.
All right.
We have to have huge development in infrastructure to take growth, employment, and make life better for everybody.
All right, infrastructure, infrastructure. Last words, Jay Panda.
In fact, Mr. Das has taken the words out of my mouth. I was just going to point out, just like Mr. Scindia talked about the education expenses allocation having gone up in the last 1 year, at roughly 2.5% or less than 3% of our GDP going to infrastructure, as a ratio of GDP, we are half of what China spends.
Okay.
And that needs to be made up. We need to double the investment.
All right. Infrastructure, education, social sector spending, agriculture. How much of all of this is the finance minister actually going to make provisions for in the budget? We'll get to know only at about 11:30 tomorrow morning. Till then, from all of us here, thanks very much indeed for joining us on Budget 2005, The Last Word. We'll see you again with the details of the budget. That's tomorrow afternoon. Till then, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Thank you all for joining.